beginning part. Um. Okay, it shows it now.
Okay.
Well, here, but does it actually show it? Still doesn't. What the? Oh, okay. Let me do this again. So let me. Run to here. Okay. See, everything should be good. All right. Should be public. All right. Let's check. All right. There we go. Now it shows it. Jesus.
Ah,
Okay. Yeah. Now it shows it. Oh my God. I don't know why it didn't. But
and this broad still didn't show up. That's amazing. Anyway.
all right, so okay, so we had a little bit of technical difficulties with this podcast. For some reason, it wasn't showing up on this channel, but now it is. So sorry if you watch like the first, minute of this and be like, this is a podcast. Hello.
ETC.
Sorry about that. But anyway, so the reason why we're late is because of one, we had technical difficulties. Two is because we were gonna have a guest, and our guest was going to
What?
be a VTuber called Cobalt Puppy, but she didn't. She just did not end up joining us because she did not respond to my messages. So we decided to start without her because the podcast is usually start on 1 p.m. Pacific time. But if you look at the time right now, it's 1:34 p.m. Pacific time. So it's literally 34 minutes after that 1 p.m. mark of, starting the podcast. But she didn't respond. So we're doing the podcast without her. But anyways, without further ado, oh yeah, by the way, if any of you are wondering, okay, what is this poorly drawn table? I drew that. I wanted our characters to be behind the table, but I don't have a good image editing software to have the table become a PNG. Then after that, put our characters behind the table, and then after that, then have a cool background drop. I don't have a good image editing software, so I couldn't do all that. So for now, for this podcast, it's gonna be just a plain basic poorly drawn table with just a white background and then our characters on it and all that. But yeah, so anyways, without further ado, let's move on to the topics. Let's start this podcast. So our favorite Mario games, and I know you already said this before, Pyro, but say it again, what your favorite Mario games are.
Okay. Um. Well, as far as mainline Mario games go, I don't have a lot of exposure because I don't know. I had a GameCube growing up, but I didn't have Sunshine or what have you. I haven't played any of the 3D ones or the 2D ones or the old ones or anything like that. But my favorite game of all time is Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door. That's easy claps right there.
Ooh.
But I don't know if that really counts. But but yeah, as far as the main platformers go, the only real exposure I have is the 3D All Stars thing, Switch. That's fun. But elitists will be all like, it doesn't count. It's not the same. It's that. But I don't really care. But as far as traditional Mario games go, I guess my favorite would be Galaxy 1. if I had
Ooh,
to choose.
ooh, out of the Paper Mario games and all of that, you decide to choose a Galaxy One.
Oh no. Paper Mario was still the best. But
Oh,
as far as the traditional platformers, I'd go with Galaxy.
ooh, okay. And my favorite Mario game would actually have to be, I think, Super Mario Galaxy as well. Like, I have grew up with Nintendo consoles, playing Nintendo games and all that. So I did have a GameCube. I did have a Wii U, and then of course the Nintendo Switch. I still have all those actually. All of those consoles that I just named, I still have them. But yeah, I think Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite. Now the reason why is because yeah, I played a Super Mario 64, but before this whole 3D collection even came out, I did play Super Mario 64. But when the Wii had the Virtual Console, I played Super Mario 64 on the Wii because it had Virtual Console and it had Super Mario 64. And then I have the disc for Super Mario Sunshine, but actually I never really played it. So I basically played it on the 3D All Stars. And of course, I played Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii when it came out on the Wii. Then I played Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well when it also came out on the Wii. Then I also played Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS and all that. But out of all of those, I'm gonna choose Super Mario Galaxy. Like I said before. The reason why is because it's just the concept of Mario just traveling through galaxies and traveling through different planets and all that. That was really cool. For me as a kid when I played that, that was just amazing. Just seeing like different planets and all that, and different designs as well. And then of course, not so much as the enemies, but mostly just the designs of the planets. It just seems really cool, like just traveling through there and all that, and also like so many different types of abilities that Mario got as well. Like there's Ice Mario. Then they actually changed the star a little bit. Like it's more rainbowish than compared to like like in all the other Mario games. But yeah, just Galaxy, just my favorite because like yes, there is Super Mario 64, that one, the OG first 3D Mario game. But the thing is with that one is that I just don't like the camera. Yes, I understand it's the first 3D Mario game. Of course, I'm not gonna have good camera, but even so, it's just I just really
Shit.
don't like the camera. I don't at all. Then Super Mario Sunshine. When I played that for the 3D All Stars, I did finish that game, and that one, that one, I won't say it's pretty good, but I just don't know. I just like the whole aspect of Super Mario Galaxy more than out of all of them. Plus the controls for Super Mario Galaxy and the camera really good too. Except I
That
will
shit's
say
smooth.
this. I do think that the water mechanics, controls, and Super Mario Sunshine is much better than Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy, it's a little bit frustrating to try to like swim around in the water, and then sometimes just doesn't, it just doesn't follow like everything. If that makes sense.
Also, you can't play Galaxy in handheld because it's fucking horseshit. Don't do that. I don't recommend at all because you gotta tap the screen to pick up the fucking star bits, which is asinine, stupid, the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, you can only play that shit docked. Like, don't even try. Don't even bother handheld because you gotta take a hand off the screen because the Switch is fucking huge, and you gotta tap it, and you're gonna fuck up if you do that shit.
Yeah,
It's
but
dog shit.
I mean, I played like again. I got the 3D All Stars, and I played through all of them again, and what's my call? Yeah, the motion controls, I hate it. I don't like it. Before, maybe I did because it was like kind of a new concept and all that, like in the Wii era. But now, no, I don't like it at all. I don't. But yeah. So that is my favorite Mario game and Current Hinton's favorite Mario game. So any last thoughts for this topic?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Wait. Anyone curious about Odyssey? I haven't played it, so fuck you. Anyways,
Oh my god, I completely forgot about Super Mario Odyssey until you mentioned it just now. Yes, I also played that one too. And okay, that is my second favorite Mario game. The reason why is, bro, Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most relaxing games ever that I've ever played. I never, raged once at it, got frustrated, or got stuck. Well, I mean, okay. I did get stuck a little bit, but I figured it out eventually. But it's not like those type of stuck where you get stuck and then you're trying to do everything, but then, it just doesn't work and then you just get frustrated. It's not that type of stuck. It's just more or less like, oh, there's actually this one thing that you miss. And you're like, oh, okay, well, my bad.
oh
Well,
fuck.
okay, let's just do this one thing. And then boom, there you go. Now you could proceed to the next level. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, second favorite. The most relaxing game. I highly recommend that game. Play it, and you're just gonna be so relaxed playing that game because, well,
Good
to me,
vibes.
yeah, really good vibes and all that, and also the design too, really cool. As well as you could get like different costumes as well. You could even get the OG Super Mario 64 costume and Super Mario Odyssey, which is pretty cool. Call back to the OG days, the first ever 3D Mario game. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so let's move on to the next topic. So our thoughts on the newest update on the Nintendo Switch. So why don't you start us off with that?
I actually haven't turned on my Switch in like a couple weeks,
Oh, so
but yeah, I don't know a lot about it.
you haven't even updated your Switch?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, all right then. Then I'll say it. So my thoughts on the newest update on the Nintendo Switch is that so they added this new icon on the home menu. So they added the Nintendo Switch Online icon, so you no longer have to go to the eShop to go to Nintendo Online. Now they have their own icon where you could click on it, and that icon has the whole Nintendo Switch Online thing. It also tells you what games that you could play online and also what games you could have for like voice chat. And then what's somewhat cool, I say somewhat, and here's why, is you could connect your phone to the Nintendo Switch, so that way you could get like whatever photos that you have in your album, whether it be photos or video clips, you could actually transfer that to your phone and then you could just download that on your phone. But the reason why I say somewhat is because when I tried that, like 2 out of the 10 times, yes, I did try this 10 times, literally 10 times.
Ugh.
2 out of the 10 times works for my phone. I don't know why, like all those other 8 times, it just didn't work for some reason. Because what you have to do is that, okay, when you go to your album and when you go click on a photo, it says send to smartphone, right? Once you click on that, then a QR code appears because you need to connect your phone to the Nintendo Switch. But what it does really is that once you scan the QR code, you connect to this this Wi-Fi. You're not on your own Wi-Fi anymore. You connect to this other Wi-Fi that the Nintendo Switch provides. You connect to that. Then after that, you scan the second QR code, which actually gives you the picture. So once you scan that, then boom, there you go. It appears on your phone. But sometimes, because it uses the browser, it uses whatever browser that you have on your phone, and like sometimes it just doesn't work. Eight out of the 10 times it does not work for me because it says fail to load the page. Make sure your Wi-Fi is connected to the internet and all that. and it's just yeah, just doesn't work most of the time for me. So that's why I
Just a
say
whole
that.
bunch of shit.
Yeah. So that's why I say that feature is somewhat cool. But I mean but I do like that they add that though, because so that way oh, good thumbnails for videos that the only way that you could really get thumbnails from what I've known is you're gonna have to basically connect the capture card to the Nintendo Switch, and then once you like have that there, then that's where you get the pictures and all that. Or you could have the micro SD too, that one as well. But
Oh yeah.
that's all I know, really. But yeah. Then another thing is that they have their own own tab. Like again, if you go to the Nintendo Switch Online, now they have their own section of the NES games and the SNES games right there. And quite a few people have been speculating that they're gonna add other ones too, like they're gonna add the N64 games, Game Boy games, GameCube games, etc., etc. But really, what I think is the next one that they're gonna add is probably the Game Boy games, because like those games are from a handheld system that Nintendo made. The Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, and then the Game Boy Advance SP. Those are handheld. The Nintendo Switch is a hybrid between the home console and handheld. So it will make perfect sense for the Game Boy to be next, because so that way, like let's say you can't play your Nintendo Switch on dock and you have it on handheld, then it's good, because those games are handheld games too. So yeah, that's why I think the Game Boy games are the next one. But I do think that they should have like the Game Boy, Advance, and the Game Boy Advance SP. They should just have it all in one. They should not have it like separate.
Because there's too many fucking Game Boys. There's like 20 of them.
Yeah. And then, by the way, there's also Game Boy Color that I did not mention. And Game Boy Pocket, too, that I didn't mention. Like, they made a lot of Game Boy games. Like, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's better if they just put all of those games that they made for those different types of Game Boys all in one. All in one, and just call it a Game Boy. Because, I mean, like, all of them have that same name. Game Boy, Game Boy, Game Boy. They just have, like, a different name. Like, a second different name, like okay, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, that type of deal, but they still have the word Game Boy in it. So yeah, so that's what I think that they might do, add Game Boy, because I don't think they're gonna add N64 yet, especially since they're still selling like Super Mario 64, but in the 3D All Stars collection. And it would be really weird if they have like, okay, they released the N64 for the Nintendo Online thing. Oh, you could play Super Mario 64. Then it's like, oh, that is so weird, because they're selling.
You can already do that.
Yeah, because it'll be so weird.
Who cares?
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is going to be the next one that they'll add for Nintendo Switch Online?
They might do GameCube, honestly.
Oh, so
that'd be pretty dope.
So you think that you're gonna skip N64 and Game Boy and go straight to GameCube?
Yeah. Because Nintendo, just like in general, like the company, the N64 isn't exactly their crown jewel. They're not exactly like super proud of it, but I don't know if they think it would be worth it money-wise, because the N64 didn't have a bunch of games like the PS1 and whatever the fuck the other thing was, the Sega Saturn, I think. But it didn't have as many games as those, because the hardware was still virtually primitive. Like, they were still using cartridges when everyone else went to discs, and third-party companies were like, fucking, I don't want to deal with that. So the N64, when it did get third-party games, they'd come out like super late. And it's like, the N64 just wasn't like financially their best work. I mean, the GameCube wasn't either. But I think in the eyes of their fans, they see the GameCube as being more beloved, because, people go back and they're like, oh my god, GameCube's great. Even though, at the time we didn't appreciate it. But From a business standpoint, I think they'd go the GameCube over the N64 for the online whatchamacallit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but at the same time, like, I mean, I don't know, cause I wasn't born when the NES and the SNES was out, so I don't know how that was, but at the same time, I don't really hear too many people talking about the NES and SNES, like when they look back on the Nintendo console generations. And I do agree with you, Pyro, that yeah, a lot of people think of the GameCube games or the GameCube console, I mean, very fondly because they just had fun with that and etc. So I mean, I don't know, maybe they might skip it. It'll be a little bit weird though, because I do think that the fan base, the Nintendo fan base, they will throw a little bit up in arms, about, oh, why did you skip the N64 and all that? Because the thing is that there are great games on the N64, like again, Super Mario 64, for example. But then there's also The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. That's a really good game. That is one of the best Zelda games in my opinion. And also Majora's Mask also got released in the N64 too. And then there was like, oh yeah, Mario Kart 64 as well. That one too. And there is also Donkey Kong 64. But I mean, I don't really hear too many people talking about Donkey Kong 64 though. But yeah, like those games, like those are pretty good games. But yeah, I just do think that the Nintendo fan base would throw up in arms, like pitchforks, torches, and all that, if they like decide to skip the N64 and go to like the GameCube. Because like I do want to play Ocarina of Time again. I did not play it on the 3DS. No, because I don't know, because like I had Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Wii because again, we had Virtual Console. I got it from the Virtual Console on the Wii, and I played it through there. And like, yeah, that is one of my most favorite Zelda games ever. A really good one. But I really do like seeing it, then doing like N64 online. I mean, not N64. Oh my god, what I'm saying. I mean, the Nintendo Online, them adding the N64 because I do want to play Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo Switch. But I do want them to release the 3D remastered, because I do know that Ocarina of Time, they sort of quote unquote remastered it. I mean, the graphics are much better than, of course, the N64 days, which is kind of like you know all that
Blocky ass.
yeah blocky and all that. But yeah, but I do think that GameCube is definitely gonna be the first. I mean, not GameCube. I do think that the Game Boy is gonna be the first one. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts about all of that on this topic?
Not really. I'll have to turn my fucking switch on at this point.
Yeah.
See what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, and my final thoughts is that, oh yeah, I know saying yeah a lot, sorry about that, but there was quite a few people, not a lot, but there is a few people that were like throwing up in arms, pitchforks and all that about the Nintendo Online icon in the home menu, that it's like different than all the others, and it's not following like the same color pattern and all that like all the others. And my take on that is, who cares? Really, who cares? It's just an icon, bruh. Yeah, it's literally just an icon. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have the same color scheme. It doesn't have the same, all that like all the others. But like, who really cares? It's just literally an icon. They made it a color red because the color red catches people's eyes, and so that's what I think that they made it into color red, so that way people could pay attention to, like, oh, there's Nintendo Switch Online, oh, there's all these games that are
Whoa.
online that I can't play online unless if I get Nintendo Online. Okay, well, gotta go buy Nintendo Online. And so that's what I think, like, kind of a little bit of their business decision on, why they made that icon red instead of like just follow the normal color scheme as all the others, because that one right there stands out, and people are gonna really, like, people who have not yet gotten Nintendo Switch Online would probably look at that, click on it, be curious, and then possibly might get Nintendo Switch Online. That's what I think, like, the whole business thing about that icon, why they made it different. But what do you think?
I mean, I don't fucking know. It's a fucking icon. Gives a shit. Just click on it or don't. This ain't symmetry. This ain't Soul Eater, bro. Symmetry's not important.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's at the end, it's just, who cares, man? Who cares? Whether they made it that icon for that type of business decision or not, but really, who cares? It's just an icon, bro.
People just like being angry.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, let's move on to our final topic for the podcast. Yeah. Alright, so our final topic is talking about the Xbox Series X being able to play GameCube games, Wii games, Sega Saturn games, N64 games, PSP
All the stuff
games,
the Switch can't do.
Nintendo DS games, Game Boy games, and so much more. And it's just like, whoa. But what do you think about the Xbox Series X being able to do all that?
I think it's crazy that Microsoft can do what Nintendo can't. Fucking crazy to me. I'm gonna be able to play Melee on the fucking Xbox before on my Switch. Insane. Do better, please, someone. Anyways, yeah, that's really weird, and I don't know if that's intended, and I don't know why it's a thing, but cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if people are just fucking with it, or if that's just like, yeah, we're gonna we'll put an emulator in the Xbox. People are gonna love it because all our backwards compatibility isn't good enough.
Yeah.
But fucking okay, I guess. Sure. Let play everything.
Like, Xbox Series X, this one being able to do all that is just crazy. That console has the most backward compatibility ever out of all of them, and for that very reason alone makes the Xbox Series X just that much more valuable as a console than before. Like, yeah, it could be backwards compatible, playing like all the way back to the original Xbox games, and then the Xbox 360, then of course the Xbox One games, and then current gen games too, which was pretty cool that Microsoft did that. But now being able to do all that, because here's the thing, I'm only gonna explain a little bit, just very briefly on the steps. Okay, so here's how to do it, basically, from how I understand, is that, all right, once you get your Xbox Series X, there's this developer mode that you could do. That mode right there is supposed to be for developers to develop games for the Xbox, but people found that you could put emulators onto it and then could play all these other games, GameCube games, Wii games, etc., all of that. But first you need to get developer mode. First download that app on the Xbox Series X, then after that, then you're gonna have to pay like a fee. I don't know how much it costs, but after you pay for that fee, then just put in an emulator there, and then boom, there you go. Now you can play all those other games, which is pretty crazy. Like, it could do all that. And then I also heard of that, oh, they're gonna have PlayStation 2 games being able to play on the Xbox Series X as well, and also the PlayStation 1 games. And I'm just like, so they could go ahead and play the PlayStation 1 games and PlayStation 2 games, but Sony would not allow backwards compatibility past the PS4 games? It's just like, why? If Xbox could do that, then why can't you, Sony? Like, and also for Nintendo as well. It's like Xbox is already playing these old games. Gamecube, Wii, N64, Nintendo DS, Game Boy, all that. And yet Nintendo, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna eventually release like literally all of that on the Nintendo Switch or not, but it's like they kind of need to step up their game though, in terms of, okay, having the Nintendo Switch online be more valuable, because like honestly, yes, you could play the NES games, you could play the SNES games, but really that's it. Like, if they add Game Boy games, if they add GameCube games to it, as well as the N64 games, then I do think that it will put the Nintendo Switch online value that much more, like a lot more. But the fact that they haven't yet throughout this year, it's just like come on, you need to like step up your you need to step up your game, Nintendo. Like, I understand that this whole virus thing is happening and whatnot, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just do think that like Game Boy games, I think they're pretty easy to just implement into the Nintendo Switch. Like, Nintendo being able to put GameCube games on. I mean, oh my god, I keep saying GameCube games. I mean Game Boy games. I think it will be easy for Nintendo to put Game Boy games on there, like really easily. Because it's just Game Boy games. I don't think it's too hard to like implement it to the Nintendo Switch. I think like the whole coding thing and all that for like the Game Boy games is, I think it's on par with the SNES games, because Game Boy games, they're not 3D, they're 2D. All those games are 2D. Even though I only played Pokemon games, so well. Okay. Let me.
Well, they are.
All right, let me backtrack. I only played Pokemon games and Metroid games on the Game Boy. That's it. But even so, those are 2D games. So for like Pokemon games as well as Metroid games, that is very easily, because it's 2D and it's just pixels. Like the SNES, it's also 2D and it's pixels. They could just easily go and just add Game Boy games on there. Like, I understand, okay, the N64, okay, might be a little bit difficult because, alright, it's 3D. That's where they stepped into the 3D territory. Alright, fine. But at the same time though, I mean, if an emulator could go and play 3D games, the N64 games, then I think Nintendo could also do that. If an emulator, somebody who made that, just, in their time, their free time, just make an emulator to play N64 games, then a company who has many employees that gets paid, I think they could do that too.
With actual money.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
What?
And then also Sony too. Like, Sony needs to have backward compatibility for the PS3, PS2, and PS1 games. Because if an emulator could play PS2 games and PS1 games, then it's like, Come on, Sony, you could do that too. If an emulator could do that, then
Well, they
y'all could
do,
do
but
that
they
too.
just charge for it because that's the smarter thing to do.
I mean, yeah, like I know there's PS now, but it's like,
But that shit's ass. So
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, it's like when I don't know. I just think that they should have Sony. They should have backwards compatibility for like PS3, PS2, PS1 games, not just through PS Now. No, because
Mhm.
it's like people are already paying for your service by PlayStation Network. That's the equivalent to Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch Online. Like people are really paying for that, and now you have this other service that you're gonna have people pay extra money to play not all of them, just some of your old games. It's like,
Wow.
what? Yeah, like why? Why? That's just literally way too much money, in my opinion, to
A little
have
bit dumb.
PlayStation Network and then stack it on top of, oh, okay, there's PlayStation Now. Hey, you gotta play those games unless you pay us more money. Ha.
Yeah. Lol.
Yeah. uh,
Lol XD.
yeah, but any like final thoughts for this topic?
I don't know. Microsoft's kind of kicking you guys' ass right now. We need to do better.
Yeah, like I said this on Twitter. I made a tweet about it that Xbox, Microsoft, is being pro-consumer than Nintendo and Sony. They're being more pro-consumer by allowing all of this, being able to be backwards compatible, playing all of these other games too. And now you're probably thinking, okay, but there's Game Pass though, and you need to pay for Xbox Live. But isn't that the same thing as playing for PlayStation Now?
No.
Yeah, no. Because the thing is that Game Pass, I will say this, Game Pass is more valuable than PlayStation Now. The reason why is you could also play, once you get Game Pass, you could also play Xbox games on your phone. You just need to download the app. Either the Xbox app or the Game Pass app. And then from there, boom, there you go. You could play Xbox games on your phone. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for PC. Once you have Game Pass and once you pay for that, then you could play all those other games here on PC as well. And you don't necessarily need Xbox Live. So that's why it's a little bit different, because you could play different platforms. You don't need just Xbox. You could also play it, different platforms. Like, again, what I said, phone and PC, which is really cool. Yeah, and plus they put a lot more games than PlayStation Now. They put a lot more games. And plus, it's like, I think since Xbox Series X is backwards compatibility, then I think you don't even need to pay for the Xbox Game Pass at all. You don't need to pay for that. Since it's backwards compatible with the Xbox 360 games, Xbox One games, as well as the original Xbox games. If you have those games still with you, you could just go put it in, insert it to the Xbox Series X, and then boom, there you go. You could just go play that, since it's backwards compatibility with all that. So you don't even need to get the Xbox Game Pass to be able to play their the old games that they released, like Halo, for example. You don't need to do that. Unlike Sony, you have to, because it's not backwards compatible with the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1. It's only backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4. So that right there you kind of have to buy PlayStation Now in order to play their old games. Well, Game Pass, like you don't necessarily need to pay for a Game Pass to be able to play their old games because it's already backwards compatible. So that right there is also another reason why it's different than PlayStation Now. And that's why I think that it's okay for them to just add Game Pass just there. Like Game Pass literally feels like it's just an option. It doesn't feel like, oh, they're hanging something over your head like, haha, you can't get this unless you pay more money, like Sony is. Like that's what I think. With Sony, with PlayStation Now, if I want to play the old game, while Game Pass is more like an option, really. So, at least Nintendo isn't doing this whole, like Sony is PlayStation Now. Once you buy their service, boom, there you go. You have access to some of their old games. Of course, not all though. Not all. Like they don't have Game Boy. They don't have N64. They don't have Gamecube either. I don't know if they're gonna add the Wii. That's a little bit iffy though, to be honest. About them adding Wii games to Nintendo Switch. Wii U games? No, I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna add. Yeah, because that's way too close to the Wii U. Because like the Nintendo Switch, it got released 2017, and that's when the Wii U basically got obsolete real quick too.
Because it was trash.
Yeah, even though I do have a Wii U, by the way, but which I do think the Wii U is okay. I don't think it's trash. I just think it's okay. But yeah, definitely. I don't think they're gonna add Wii U because that's just way too close. That's literally just a generation behind. While like Wii games, that's iffy because that's 2 generations, but even still, that's still iffy. But GameCube games, that's like 3 generations back. I do think that they could do GameCube games as well as again N64 games, DS games too. By the way, those are handheld too. But the thing is with those are a little bit different. Because it's 2 screens. Like if any of you had a DS game, if any of you had the DS handheld system, you would know that okay, it has 2 screens. So I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna work for the Nintendo Switch, since it's basically only 1 screen. But what do you think? Do you think the DS, like them implementing DS to their Nintendo Switch Online, do you think that they will be able to just adapt to it to the Nintendo Switch and implemented it and it'll work fine?
I don't know. It'll be weird. I don't know how they do it if they did. The whole dual screen gimmick thing that they were all about. Whatever. They're smart guys. They'd figure it out, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be weird, but I do think that they could, I agree with you that they could do it. Who DS games? How? I don't know. I think it'll be a little bit more difficult than Game Boy games because Game Boy games, like, it's literally just 1 screen. So it's just like, But 3DS games on a Nintendo Switch? No, they're not gonna add that.
No,
because that's way too close to this generation, just like the Wii U. But the difference is with the Nintendo 3DS to the Nintendo Wii U. The difference between those two is that they for the Nintendo 3DS, they recently stopped production. They announced that they're not gonna make any more 3DS games, or the 3DS handheld system. They're not gonna do that. And actually, you know what? As well as the 3DS game, at least not first party 3DS games anymore on the the 3DS. So that means okay, they recently, just barely this year, and that's why I say recently because it's this year, that they just stopped the production of that handheld system, and it survived from the Wii U all the way up to the Nintendo Switch. So it's like, no, I don't think so, because that is just way too close to the Nintendo Switch, the whole generation thing. So that's another thing where I don't think they're gonna add 3DS games. DS, yeah,
Sure.
they should, but I do think that the DS games though, they should have it in the separate tab. They should not have it, being the same thing like Game Boy games, because those two are two different handheld systems. So um, yeah, I do think that they should have it like separate.
Absolutely.
Yep, and also another thing too is that what I see that the Nintendo Switch definitely having, like what I see what it definitely has. I definitely see Nintendo Switch having N64, GameCube, Game Boy, and DS. Those 100%, I do think that they're gonna have those. The Wii, again, like I said before, it's a 50-50. And then the Wii U, that's more like a 5%. And then the
Yeah.
3DS, that's more like a 2%, because it's just way too close to the Nintendo Switch. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the odds are. They got a lot of shit to draw from as far as that goes. But who knows? Honestly,
Yeah,
it'll be good, whatever it is.
yeah, definitely. Well, like if they add like the Game Boy games, right, and if they add the Pokemon games, I wonder how they're gonna do that in a sense of like, okay, because the 3DS had, they were selling Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red on the 3DS. They were selling all those, and then for like a way to like transfer Pokemon, they had Pokemon. What's it called? Pokemon Bank. There you go. They had Pokemon Bank where you could transfer those really old Pokemon from Generation One, from Pokemon Blue and all that, put it into Pokemon Bank, and then from there you go. Now you could have like your current Pokemon games from that time. Like it was like X and Y, and Sun and Moon. Like you could have those Pokemons from Generation One. But if they add that though to like Game Boy games, have that, and if they add Pokemon games, I really do wonder how they're gonna do that with Pokemon. How are they gonna be able to transfer Pokemons, the creatures, to like current gen Pokemon games? That will be really weird. That I'm not sure how they're gonna be able to figure that out. Like they're gonna have to they're either gonna have to add it with the Game Boy games, or they're gonna have to sell it like separately. Like try to do like a 3D All Stars for like Mario, but instead of 3D All Stars, maybe it's just Pokemon Master Collection or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Zelda games, those, like, since the Legend of Zelda, the 35th anniversary is next year, I do think that they're gonna do a sort of 3D All Stars for the Legend of Zelda series, that game, that franchise. But if they are gonna do like the whole 3D All Stars like they did with Mario, the three games that I think that they're gonna add, or what, let me scratch that. The three games that I want them to add in this 3D All Stars, if they're gonna do it, this is like speculation, is Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, and Twilight Princess. Those three games. Those three games are awesome. But I see some people, adding in Wind Waker, and I'm like, Yeah, Wind Waker is pretty cool, but I prefer Ocarina of Time over Wind Waker. Yeah, I prefer that game more over the other one. But have you actually played any Zelda games?
Nope.
Okay, well,
Zelda version.
yeah, okay, well, yeah, but and then if they're gonna do like the whole thing with Metroid though, Metroid that's gonna be a little bit more difficult. The reason why is since they add SNES, they already have Super Metroid. Because if they're gonna do like a 3D All Stars collection, then the only thing that I could really see them doing, for it being 3D, is Metroid Prime, because that's literally the only 3D Metroid games there are, and that's really it.
Gee, it's almost like they should make more Metroid games.
They don't have that much.
Just like 4.
I mean, there's a little bit more, but what I could name right now is Super Metroid, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion, all the Metroid Prime games, Metroid Samus Returns, the original Metroid game, then the first one,
The OG.
yeah, and I think that's it. I can name other ones at the moment, but yeah. So are they gonna do like, okay, let's say 2D All Star Collection, right? Then okay, I see them adding Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion, but then the third one I'm not sure. Maybe Metroid Samus Returns, but I'm not sure if that's considered a 2D game or not, because I mean I'm talking about the one that was released on the 3DS. That one.
Hmm.
Because I mean the graphics are really updated. I mean in a sense it is 2D because it's like you know it looks like 2D. You're playing it 2D because Samus is right there, and then you're looking at her from the side, how 2D games are. But I mean I don't know what the third game would be if they decide to do like a 2D All Stars, because they can't add the original Metroid. Because the reason why is because Metroid Zero Mission is in a sense a remake of that, of the original Metroid, or remastered, one of the two. So that right there, it's like, okay, they can't bring the original first Metroid game. So I really don't know which Metroid game that they're gonna add if they ever do like a 2D All Stars. Like I think a safe bet for them to do is a 3D All Stars Metroid game and just add all those three Metroid Prime games, because I mean there is three. There is a fourth one, but they're like, I don't know, they've been in production for like a while already for a fourth Metroid Prime game. So I don't know when that's gonna be released. I don't know if it's gonna be released this generation or the next. Who knows? But I think the best bet for them is to do a 3D All Stars, but with all three Metroid games, and I mean Metroid Prime games, and yeah. Have you ever played Metroid games?
Nope.
Okay, well. And then if you ask one of us about Kirby games, I only really played 2 Kirby games. That's it. Like Mario games, I mean, I already named the games that I played. Zelda games. Okay, the games that I played for Zelda is Ocarina of Time, Minish Cap, a little bit of Four Swords. What else? Zelda Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Warriors, There's one more, but I just cannot name at the top of my head. There's one more, but yeah, that's all the Zelda games I've played. And then for Metroid games, I played Super Metroid, which I'm actually doing a Let's Play of Super Metroid on my channel, by the way.
Plug.
Yeah, so I played Super Metroid, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion, the first Metroid game. And that's actually about it. Yeah, that's about
Yeah.
it. Oh wait. So okay, so for Zelda, okay, I do remember there was Majora's Mask. I played that, and a lot of people like that. I don't. I kind of hate the concept of okay, there's 3 days, and you're gonna have to do like as much as you can within those 3 days. And once it gets to the last day, okay, there's a song where you could go ahead and go back in time, but then you're gonna have to redo all that all over again, and it's just like I don't like that concept at all. And I played Majora's Mask on the 3DS. By the way, I didn't play the original, N64 like I did with Ocarina of Time. But yeah, Kirby games I only really played two. I kind of forgot what they're called, really.
It's Kirby. It's whatever.
Yeah, and then any other first party, Nintendo franchises series. No, like I mean, there's Smash, but I mean, like everybody plays Smash.
Smush.
Yeah. But I'm saying like solo characters, like for like okay, the Mario games, and then there's Zelda games, and then Metroid games, etc. I'm talking about like those, like standalone and their own, universe or whatever's. But yeah. But what about you? What which first party franchise of Nintendo games did you play?
Like none. I did not grow up with Nintendo games like that. I grew up with an Xbox.
Huh.
I kind of just had a GameCube.
We never really played it.
Not the first party shit, at least.
Oh. Oh, damn.
Like when I think of GameCube, I think Paper Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I think Naruto Clash of Ninja 2, and I think the SpongeBob movie game. Because those are the three games I had on that bitch.
Oh, that's funny. SpongeBob movie game.
That's what I play on that bitch. I have no Zelda, no fucking none of that other shit.
Yeah, like I played Paper Mario, but only like literally the beginning. That's it. So I don't know if it counts as me actually playing it, since I only played like the first 10 minutes. Then after that, I never played it again.
Damn.
Like I mean, I have the disc version, like the actual disc version of Paper Mario, A Thousand Year Door. That's what I'm referring to, by the way, A Thousand Year Door, for the GameCube. So I could play that whenever I want because my GameCube still works.
Yeah, that game's like 20 hours long. So.
Oh, so it's not that long compared to like current gen games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Alright, well then. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I grew up with Nintendo, consoles and all that. Oh yeah, and also Pokemon. I believe I almost forgot about that. Pokemon games. Oh boy, I played a lot of those. A lot of those Pokemon games. So I played Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Yellow. Then I played Pokemon Gold. A little bit of Crystal. Not all the way through, though.
A wee bit.
Yeah, but Pokemon Gold, I definitely played that. Then I played Pokemon Fire Red, like throughout the whole thing. Well, it was really just a remake of, Gen 1 games. But yeah, Pokemon Fire Red. I played a little bit of Ruby and Sapphire. Still haven't, played all of it. I only played a little bit of that. I did not play no Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Did not play any of those. I did play Pokemon White. And then a little bit of Pokemon Black 2. Played a little bit of Black 2. But I did play the entirety of Pokemon White. I did play the entirety of Pokemon Y. I did play that. I did not play Pokemon X. Let's see here. I did play the entirety of Pokemon Sun, all of it. I did not play Pokemon Moon. I did not play Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I did not play any of those. Then the current Pokemon games, which are Sword and
Trash.
Shield. Which, yeah,
Garbage.
it was poorly made.
Wasted. Wasted $60 on it.
Yeah, it should be more like $40 to be honest.
40. I'll pay 30 for that son bitch.
Like, yeah, like that game literally, it looks like it was made like a 3DS game. That's what it looks like. It literally looks just like that. It doesn't look like a Nintendo Switch game at all. So that's what I think, because you know the 3DS Pokemon games, they were like $40. So that's why I say, okay, you know, Sword and Shield, they're more worth, you know, $40. But I mean, I haven't played those, but I mean, I've seen like a lot of, you know, different discussions about Sword and Shield. Like, I mean, a lot. So I heard like different types of opinions, different types of viewpoints of it, and etc. Of what people think about, you know, Sword and Shield and all that. But I mean, I might get it though, just to play it and, you know, experience it. But yeah, so that's basically all the Pokemon games, you know, I've played. So I played a lot more than a lot more than Mario games, Zelda games, Metro games, a lot more. It's because Pokemon, like I said in one of the previous podcast episodes, that Pokemon Blue was my first game, if not then one of my first video games I've ever played. Pokemon Blue, that one in particular, was the one that introduced me to, you know, video games, gaming. It was one of my first games I've ever played. And so, you know, that's why I play a lot of Pokemon games, because, you know, Pokemon, that series introduced me to, you know, video games and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, like that was a little bit off topic, sort of.
A little bit.
I mean, kind of, but at the same time, it was still related to that topic. What do you think? Do you think it was, or?
I don't know, kind of.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, but any final thoughts about like all these topics right here that we talked about?
Nah. I think that's about it.
Alright. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have any more thoughts. Probably talked about, you know, all my thoughts. So if you're watching this live stream version, well then this is the raw footage. But what I'm gonna do with this, I'm definitely gonna edit this, because I think I stumbled upon my words way too much.
It'd be like that.
So I'm just gonna, if you watch this video version, then yeah, there you go. I'm just gonna cut out the parts where I stumble upon my words, or, you know, mistaken saying GameCube games when I really mean Game Boy games and all that. I'm just gonna edit that out and all that. But yeah, so this is episode 13 of the podcast. Again, we couldn't have our guest, but you know, the description explains it. But yeah, so this is the end of the podcast. The next one will definitely have a way better background than this one. It will have a way better drawn table. I'll try to draw it much better, you know, than this.
Definitely.
Yeah, as well as, you know, better background too, like have an epic background and all that. But yeah, so this is gonna be the end of the podcast. And so the next podcast episode will actually be the 27th. That's what So that's when the next podcast episode is gonna be. December 27th, 2020. Oh my. Actually, if we really thinking about it, that podcast will be the final podcast episode for this year. Then after that, 2021
shit year. Anyway.
Yeah, this year, a bunch of crazy ass stuff happened this year, man. But this is not what this podcast is about. It's about video games. It's about anime. Even though we talk about mostly video games on this one. But on the next one, we're definitely going to be having at least one topic talking about anime.
A little bit of anime.
Yeah. But anyways, this is going to be the end of the podcast. So, see you.